Hello. Today we have the pleasure to have Ms. Sandra Sodini with us, who is the Director of International Relations and EU Programming in the Friuli Venezia Giulia Autonomous Region in Italy, and at the same time Director of the EGTC EUREGIO Senza Confini at the Italian-Austrian border. Ms. Sodini is active in European cooperation already since '94, has been Director of another EGTC, the EGTC GO at the Italian-Slovenian border, meaning having a kind of multiple border perspective. And we are very happy to have you today with us for this video recording to hear your views as practitioner on the ground on your territorial approaches, your experiences with territorial tools, and especially ITIs, the integrated territorial investments. Please, the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, Philip. Thanks a lot to Interact for having invited me in this with this new methodology of recording our interventions. I hope everything will be fine. I will try to give some suggestions with reference to my professional experience. And as you told, the two different perspectives I had being both in the past director of EGTC GO and now director of EUREGIO Senza Confini, that in English language we can translate EUREGIO borderless. I will try also to mention having the opportunity to listen to the Natalie presentation, maybe some links with the explanations she gave during the presentation in order to let understand how is it possible to bring into territoriality the new programming period based on the past experience we had and I had personally. Okay, so let's start. First of all, where I live. I live in a very special region because Friuli Venezia Giulia region is a region that has two borders, on the eastern border with Slovenia and on the northern border with Austria, and it is located in the northeastern part of Italy. So personally, I live in Gorizia, and I have to mention in this sad period of coronavirus that we have difficult perspectives with reference to cross-border cooperation in this moment, because land borders are closed, and in Gorizia especially, that was for many years on the border with Yugoslavia, and you know it was a difficult border because it was the border with the Iron Curtain. We in this period seems to be returned to 20 years ago, but we hope that this period of difficulties will reinforce our willingness to cooperate and also let us ready for a possible emergency as we have now to manage on a cross-border level. After this word, this introduction, due also to the period, I give you some information with reference to these two EGTC that are very different, and the territorial approach we had, the initiatives carried out by the two EGTC are very different on the basis also of their territorial position and the dimension. The first one is EGTC GO. EGTC GO is composed by three municipalities: Gorizia, Nova Gorica, and Szentpéterbertőiba. Gorizia is located in Italy. Nova Gorica and Szentpéter-Wertoi, but are two municipalities located in Slovenia. More or less the inhabitants, the citizens covered by the three municipalities count 75,000 people. And the second is EUREGIO senza confini. The dimension is completely different. We have three regions, member of the EGTC, Friuli Venezia Giulia region, Veneto region, and Carinthia, the land Carinthia. The border is Italy-Austria. Friuli Venezia Giulia and Veneto on the Italian side, Carinthia, of course, on the Austrian side. The dimension of the population is over 6.5 million. So we have a territorial dimension completely different with reference to the territorial covered by the actions of the two EGTC. Starting with the territorial area of EGTC GO, you can see from this Google map picture unique city. To be true, the northern part is in Slovenia, and the middle is in Italy, and the southern part is in Slovenia again. The history of this territorial area is very complicated, but just to summary, after the Second World War, the northern part and the southern part of Gorizia were so passed to Yugoslavia because of the treaties, and a new cities was established, Nova Gorica, of course, and the two cities remained many years, of course, separated by the Iron Curtain. But in any case, it was a unique urban conglomerate. What happened? And sorry, the second one, just to give you the area, is the EGTC EUREGIO. This is the territorial area. As you can see, Friuli Venezia Giulia in the middle, then Veneto region and Carinthia are located in the northern eastern part of Italy, but the extension, of course, is bigger. So what happened with the EGTC GO, starting from EGTC GO? The first and the most important cross-border challenge was the entering of Slovenia in 2004 into European Union. What was the result of entering was not only to open again after 70 years the borders, but to start reconverting an economy, a social situation, a day-by-day living, we can say, of the people, of the citizens, from a cross-border area, and also the economy was very, very influenced by the border. So, for example, import-export activities, customs, and also, for example, armies, because we had because of the Iron Curtain, many soldiers on the three cities, not only in Italy but also in Yugoslavia. It was counted that on a population of 75,000 people, we had more 10,000 soldiers. So the fall of the Gorizzian wall meant that this reality that lasted 70 years, more or less, completely changed. So how to reinvent the economy and the social challenges of this specific area, affected, of course, by the history, and now with a view, new vision in front of it. The second is EUREGIO senza confini. Of course, EUREGIO senza confini is a very wide area, and at the beginning, the challenge was to reinforce, to strengthen the cross-border cooperation among the three regions in different fields: tourism, health, civil protection, and to try to understand how to impact all over the territory thanks to the reinforcing of the cooperation between the three regions. Well, EGTC GO, at the beginning of programming period 2014 and 2020, for the reasons I presented before, was in front of a big challenge: to reinvent the three cities as a unique city. First of all, the most important thing was to start thinking to a common strategy between the three cities. Common strategies that in the past, also if there were a lot of links, contacts, of course, between the population, also between the mayors, was never imagined. How to organize, how to think to common challenges all together was something new. To start designing a strategy, the first thing, first on the basis, we have to involve people. Involve people means not only the citizen, but also the institutions, also the private sectors, companies, bodies that work in the area. And the first step in imagining a strategy is a very, very active consultation towards the stakeholder. Therefore, this was the first step that started in 2012 in the EGTC GO area. And the second step was to identify a common challenge. Because one thing is to imagine a strategy. Another thing is to ask the population and the stakeholders which is the common challenges we have together, the three cities. That is not an Italian or a Slovenian challenge, but is a cross-border challenge. The third step was to analyze in depth two programming periods, because the border was beneficiary of two programming periods of the program Italy cross-border program Italy-Slovenia in 2006 programming period, 2007-2014. Therefore, many studies and many actions were defined thanks to projects where the three municipalities were involved. And the fourth thing was to think to the border not as something that closes, but something that opens. And this is a different, completely different cultural approach. Because after 70 years of Iron Curtain, to think that the border would become an asset means something new for the population and also for the institution that were, of course, used to think to the border as a barrier, let's say, and not something that opened to the other part. Therefore, the border has to be, so the idea of the border has to be reconverted from a point of weakness and a point of strength. Just a remark, all the map during the period until 2012, the map of Gorizia, the street map, had the border, of course, and on where is located, Nova Gorica and St. Peter Vertoiba, was just green. So they were not reported, absolutely. It was, so Italy was over there, and any person that wanted to understand what is on the other side from the map was not possible. The street map and the streets were closed, and nobody could imagine that on the other side there was other two cities. And on the basis of what I explained, a strategic plan for the integrated development of the area was designed on the basis of three pillars. The first one, and of course I cut all the history because the strategic plan lasted the development of the strategic plan lasted 2 years, more or less. Therefore, we are arriving 2000 and at the beginning of 2000 and at the end of 2013. So the strategic plan figured out three main pillars. The first one was to launch new economic perspectives, and this pillar was connected to a very specific action to open and to relaunch the sector of logistics and transport that was very strong on both both the sides of the border. And with new regulation after the entering of Slovenia in EU, customs, of course, were abolished, and we have to reinvent new logistic perspectives because the infrastructure remained, and the idea was how to revitalize together all the infrastructure we had on the border and the logistics and transportation services. And this action, therefore, is very connected to the economy sector, to relaunch the economy sectors of the two cities. The second one was related to the well-being. In the years, both Nova Gorica and Gorizia lived a period of decrease related to citizens. Therefore, the important thing is not only to have an economic revitalization, but also good services to the citizens in order to let them remain in the cities and not to reach, for example, Trieste or Ljubljana, so more cities where services, of course, are more concentrated, let's say. Therefore, since the two cities had two full hospitals just at 1 kilometer of distance, the second action was to create a network of integrated services to enlarge the services devoted to population on the healthcare system. The second and the third one was the third pillar was linked to a third action. We have in the area a river that is in Slovenian language is the Soča River, in Italian language is Isonzo River. The river is very symbolic for both the citizens because also linked to our past history, the First World War, and a lot of many things that happened in the common history of the area. And the idea was to valorize the cross-border river Isonzo Soča thanks to establishment of the cycle route connecting all the parks in Gorizia, Nova Gorizia, and Szentpéter-Wertőiba, all the parks on the river, to give the possibility both to the citizens and also from outside to have a valorization of the cultural and also natural point of strengthness of on a touristic point of view. In 2004, thanks to the entering into force of the new regulatory framework, 2014-2020, we realized that our strategy was absolutely possible to deliver thanks to this new tool that was included in the new regulatory framework, the integrated territorial investment. Why? Because the regulatory framework asked for an identified territory, well identified, and we had the EGTC GO area, Gorizia, Nova Gorizia, and Szentpéter-Wertőiba. Second requirement to define the pilot actions ready to implement, and our strategy was based on 3 pillars that were based on 3 actions, very clear, and the governance arrangement to manage the ET was ready, because in 2011 was established by the 3 municipalities, the EGTC. Therefore, putting together the so an autonomous, let's say, path that the 3 cities were carrying on, we realized that we had all the requirements to try to use the ITI as the delivery tool of the strategy. And what I have to underline is that no one strategy is possible to deliver without mechanism. And this is a very important thing that I have to underline, and Natalie also told yesterday, because all the strategies need, in any case, and if we talk about structural funds, is a very, very important element, a body that carry out the actions and manage the actions. For this reason, EGTC GO was both sole beneficiary of the intervention and also intermediate body with separate functions. I don't go in details. Maybe if there will be some questions, we will be ready to share the governance of the operation. But what is important to underline is that no one strategy is possible to develop on a territory without a clear governance and the mechanism under the clear governance. Thanks to a very cooperative links and I have to say day-by-day relations and positive approach of the managing authority of the cross-border Interreg program Italy-Slovenia, the ITI was included in the Interreg program 2014-2020 as separate action, a third axis of the program, combining 2 axes of the program, axis 3 and axis 4, in a strategic vision. Of course, the third pillar of the strategy, the transport and logistic pillar, was not included because the program didn't select at the time the strategic objective 7 that was devoted to transport. But in any case, also that part of the strategy was developed without structural funds, but in very strict connection with the ITI funded by the European program Interreg for Italy, Slovenia. And 10 million euro were devoted to the actions, 5 million to the first one, cross-border natural parties of the social, and 5 to network of cross-border health services. ERDF plus national co-financing. And what we can say, because now we are in midterm results of the project and actions activities, and we can give just some midterm results. The first thing that I would like to underline is the leverage effect we have. Concentrating funds on an ITI and concentrating funds also in the actions that were included, we had the leverage effect of own funding of the bodies that were involved in the actions for over 2 million. And I have to say that I'm very used to Interreg programs and Interreg projects, and this is the first time that the ERDF funding used in an Interreg program really had a leverage effect from the territory, gave a real impact not only to the actions that were financed by the program, but adding actions, investments, infrastructures, and creating really a strategy that is not just a pilot action, but a new way of, in this case, delivery healthcare assistance to the citizens. The second thing to remark was that having a very, very deep cross-border cooperation, we faced a lot of problems, technical problems. Maybe the most complicated issues were related to health issues. For example, the medical professions were not comparable. It was difficult for doctors to work both on one side and on the other side of the border because of insurance issues, different clinical approach. Of course, the two systems, the health systems, is national, both in Italy and in Slovenia, therefore it's very connected to national laws. So a lot of technical problems that we try to solve step by step, but some of them are still pending. Another thing very important is that the EGTC GO became a contracting authority, let's say a cross-border contracting authority. And thanks to the directive EU 24/2014, we had the possibility to become a cross-border contracting authority. Therefore, a lot of investments and infrastructure, thanks to EGTC GO, had tenders on the whole territory of the, let's say, of the EGTC GO area. What I mean that, for example, the cycle route was not tendered only on the Italian part and then on the Slovenian part, but was a single tender for the whole territory. And this is very important because in this way you can combine, of course, the intervention of 3 municipalities altogether and not to have different approach and different also timing of the work. And to conclude this part, one thing that I have to underline as maybe the most difficult part of the work we had on the territory was the multi-level governance. Of course, EGTC GO is not an island in the middle of nowhere. So with reference above all to the transport and also to the health sector, we had to let both state and regional level intervene in order to solve a lot of problems on the basis of laws, national laws, that were impacting on the cross-border cooperation in a difficult way. And I just let you see, for example, two important works and investments that are ongoing in the EGTC GO area. And linking to what I already said, I pass to the second experience that I have, that is linked to the present and to the programming period 2021-2027, and it is related to EGTC EUREGIO. I said that EGTC EUREGIO is composed by 3 regions, so we had no whole functional area, because the 3 regions is a wider area, very composed, big cities, rural area, mountains, of course, coast, and so it's very composed, and it's very difficult to find out a common challenge for the whole territory. So we maybe can say that the larger area could be subdivided into sub-functional area, and this is possible because sub-functional areas exist. But we start reasoning with 3 regions to understand which could be the real challenge of an EGTC composed by 3 regions. Is the territorial impact based maybe on more sub-functional areas, or is or we have to solve all the technical issues and problems that stakeholders have in cross-border cooperation. Why I say this? Because cross-border cooperation, of course, when you start working on a day-by-day basis and in a very tight approach, you have a lot of cross-border obstacles that can be solved by the beneficiaries of the project. Also because beneficiaries are maybe smaller entities to a multi-level governance, and the question is that they cannot impact on the legislative action. Many problems that we have in cross-border cooperation are linked to the laws, national and regional law, that are thought only for national application and not for cross-border actions. And also in this case, in the new programming period, we have something new. We have the interest-specific objective, a better Interreg governance. And we start reasoning why do not use this new tool, and instead of acting on sub-functional areas that is maybe more difficult because are very mixed area and very difficult to understand how to put together the territory, to be ready to solve cross-border obstacles that our stakeholders face in day-by-day cooperation. What we learned, and personally I learned from my experience in EGTC GO, is that each action connected to, for example, health sector, or in any case sectors that are covered by national legislation, need support many times to be solved by policymakers. And EGTC EUREGIO is composed by 3 regions. 3 regions means 3 regions with legislative powers. And the idea is that each problem our cross-border projects will have to face, and each obstacles will come from the activities, could be solved thanks to the action of EGTC EUREGIO that put together 3 legislative regions, and can also solve, thanks to new laws or maybe protocol or memorandum of understanding, problems that otherwise stakeholders cannot be cannot be solved autonomously. Therefore, for the programming period 2021-2027, we decided to act not just only as EGTC EUREGIO Senza Confini, but together with the other EGTC that is neighboring, EGTC European Region Tyrol, South Tyrol, Trentino, and to start creating a, let's say, new action to support during the period 2021-2027 stakeholders who cooperate on the border, Austrian-Italian border, in facilitating them in solving the cross-border obstacles. Thanks to the possibility to have, in this case, 6 legislative regions, autonomous province with legislative power that can act on the basis of the cross-border obstacles that will constrain and will face our citizens to solve many questions and problems that otherwise will be difficult to solve. So this is an idea for so how to interpret the Interreg specific objective related, as I said, to better governance in Interreg. And the 2 examples, I suppose, let's understand in a clear way the difference between an EGTC that is located in a functional area as the EGTC GO, linked to the everyday life of our citizens and with a lot of interdependence, linked to commuters, to health, to transport, to economic life, and a larger one, the EGTC EUREGIO, that finds his mission in a completely different perspective, moving towards cooperation, solving the problems that rise from the territories, and supporting them in going in depth and solve the cross-border obstacle that can stop many projects because of national legislation. So this is the presentation. I'm of course at your disposal for any question you may raise. And I thanks again for this opportunity to share my professional experience in this, let's say, virtual event. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. We are very happy to have you here with us, because I think this was a great real life experience on your territorial approach and how you use territorial tools like the ITI, plus then of course also a territorial vision for the future. And I'm sure this will serve as a great source of both information and inspiration for many others. So thank you very much.